The stories you're about to hear were submitted by real people who claim these events actually happened. Some are disturbing, some are terrifying, and some are almost impossible to explain. So before we begin, lock your doors, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for tonight's true horror stories. Woman at the mall. Let's not meet. This happened a while back at one of the bigger local malls in Georgia. I was 19 at the time, but like my sister and cousin, I've always looked significantly younger than my actual age. My sister was 12 and my female cousin was 16. To anyone glancing at us, we probably look like three teenagers out shopping together. None of us appearing over 18. That detail ended up mattering more than I could have imagined. We were just wandering around, window shopping, grabbing snacks, and enjoying a regular day out as a family. The mall wasn't overly crowded, but it had the usual weekend foot traffic. We were walking through one of the main corridors when this woman suddenly approached us. She looked disheveled, messy hair, clothes that had clearly been worn for a while, and an anxious, almost desperate energy about her. And she was probably in her 40s or 50s. She zeroed in on me immediately and asked if she could borrow my phone. Her story was that she'd been at the mall shopping for 2 days straight, and no one would come pick her up. She claimed she'd been calling a ride repeatedly with no success. Something about it felt off right away. The way her eyes darted around and how intensely she focused on us. But she seemed genuinely distressed, and I didn't want to be that kind of person who ignores someone in need. Against my better judgment, I handed her my phone. She put the call on speaker without me asking. The first number she dialed went straight to that robotic message. This number has been disconnected or is no longer in service. She didn't react much, just muttered something under her breath, and immediately tried another number. This time it rang through to voicemail. What followed was uncomfortable and increasingly strange. She started rambling into the phone, her voice getting louder and more frantic. She went on about how she'd been calling for days, how they knew she was at the mall shopping, and how she didn't understand why they wouldn't answer or come get her. Then she pivoted and started describing us, me, my sister, and my cousin in detail. She told the voicemail that these three young girls, even though I was 19, had been kind enough to let her use their phone. She described our appearances, our ages, guessing younger than we were, what we were wearing, and even how we were sticking together. Hearing a stranger narrate us back to some unknown person on a voicemail made my skin crawl. It felt like she was reporting our details to someone, almost like she was marking us. The second she handed the phone back to me, I snatched it. I told my sister and cousin we needed to go right now, and quickly led them away. I knew exactly where I wanted to go, the alternative store a short distance down the corridor. It was one of those shops with edgy clothing, brand merch, posters, and a staff that always seemed friendly and protective towards younger customers. I'd shopped there before and remembered how the employees would chat with teens and keep an eye on things. I figured if anyone would help us out, or at least create a safe buffer, it would be the people in there. We ducked inside, weaving through the racks of dark clothes and accessories, trying to act casual while my heart pounded. We hadn't even been in the store for a few minutes when I spotted her again. Through the entrance, she walked straight in, eyes scanning the aisles with that same desperate intensity. She started asking employees and other shoppers if they'd seen three young girls, matching our description. She was persistent, moving through the store with purpose, describing us again to anyone who would listen. The store staff noticed something was off. They started positioning themselves near us and subtly redirected her questions. I whispered to my sister and cousin to stay close behind a display of hoodies and jewelry, keeping low and out of direct sight. The fact that I had chosen this specific store because I knew the people inside would help us probably saved us from a confrontation right then. The situation escalated quickly after that. She eventually left the store, but didn't leave the area, from what we could gather later. She began following another family that somewhat resembled us. Again, 3 younger-looking females. Mall security was called when her behavior turned erratic and aggressive. When they confronted her near the upper floor railing of the mall, it was chaotic. Security had to physically intervene to stop her while other shoppers backed away. We stayed hidden in the alternative store until things calmed down, with the staff checking in on us and making sure we felt safe. Once the immediate threat passed, we got out of the mall as fast as possible, sticking close together and constantly looking over our shoulders. I still don't know what her actual intentions were. The disconnected number, the rambling voicemail where she described us in detail, the way she fixated on us following us, and then lashing onto another similar group. It felt predatory, like she was trying to document us, or draw us into something bigger and more dangerous. That day could have gone very differently if I hadn't trusted my gut and headed straight for the alternative store, where I knew we'd have backup. Woman at the mall? Let's not meet. So this happened around 2018-ish. I've been seeing some videos online recently of people acting weird towards women on trains, and it made me think of this situation I had when I was younger. This was in the UK. I was 20 years old, but looked really young, like 16 to 17. I was on a train at like 11 p.m. midnight. The carriage was empty or near empty. I had chosen it because I wanted to be alone. I was mega tired as I'd been traveling for hours. 3 drunk, maybe pretending to be drunk in retrospect, dudes bordered age like 30 to 45 years old. They all sat on the seats, opposite of the aisle to me, despite it being empty. I ignored them and was more annoyed about someone deciding to sit so close when they had the whole carriage. Because why do people do that? One then got up and sat directly next to me. Even then, I wasn't worried. I was mentally like, for fuck's sake, a weird drunk chatty dude, here we go. I didn't really feel worried. I think because I was so tired and was too polite to ignore him, and he seemed friendly enough initially, like asking how I was, etc. He then started saying that he was really worried about me, that I was clearly a runaway. He said that he was worried for me because bad things happen to runaways, that he knows girls my age and would never forgive himself if something happened to them, so by extension felt compelled to help me, check on me. He wouldn't want the people who care about me to go through knowing something happened to me, that my parents are probably stressing about me. He started saying that I'm probably going to get SA'd if I'm not careful, and that there are people out there who would want to hurt me. He was also asking where I was going, why, who I was meeting, that he was willing to help me, etc. One of the other dudes apologized for his friend, saying he's just trying to be nice, that he can be a bit much at times when he had a drink or two. And me, in my infinite wisdom, thought, yep, just drunk guys being weird. I was just sat there wishing they would go away, but obviously couldn't leave because I was blocked in the window seat. I was friendly to them because I didn't want to come across as rude, and I thought, well, he's just probably trying to be nice, like his friend said. I told him multiple times that I was not a minor.
I appreciate his concern, but I'm fine. But he ignored me and continued saying I must be a runaway. I shouldn't lie. He's looking out for my safety. I was very tired because I'd been traveling for hours, and it was late, so I got frustrated and stopped arguing and just kind of went along with what he was saying. He then grabbed my hand while telling me to promise him I would stay safe. He told me to look him in the eyes and promise him, so I did. He didn't let go of my hand and kept saying stuff like, "Promise me, I want you to be safe. Don't make me worry about you," while rubbing my hand and holding it on his lap. That unnerved me a lot, not gonna lie. I didn't really know what to do, just let him. Probably stupid, but I was not in the mood to confront three dudes alone who were potentially drunk. I don't recall the third guy saying anything really. Maybe he chatted with the other guy while the main guy bothered me, but I don't recall him directly talking to me. A member of the staff approached and asked if I knew them and if I was okay. When I said I didn't know them, the staff said they seemed awfully familiar with me. The men said they were just striking up conversation and checking I was okay. I said I was fine because I didn't want to make a scene. Stupid of me, I know. The train staff started hovering around at the end of the carriage, watching them, so obviously they didn't believe me. Thank God. I saw at least two members of the staff there watching and talking to each other, arms crossed and everything. By that point mentally, I was begging the train crew to come and tell these dudes to piss off. One of the dudes then just said something like, "This is our stop," and they got up and left. The staff came and checked on me when they got off the train. They said if the dudes didn't get off at that stop, they were gonna force them off. The staff were very kind to me throughout the journey, and kept asking if I was okay, or if I wanted to switch to another carriage, where they could keep a closer eye on me. Thank God for those staff members who looked out for me. What scares me is that I never felt generally in danger at that time. I was obviously totally naive, and just thought they were trying to be nice, but in a weird, annoying way. But thinking back on it now, I'm older. For info, I grew up in a mega dysfunctional home, but I was still not really able to create boundaries and advocate for myself back then. My tolerance for inappropriate abusive behavior was really high, so I'm not surprised past me caught up in that. When I was younger, my family would spend the weekend in my grandparents' house, which was in a small village on a hill. The village was small and everyone knew each other, so it was a safe place for kids to play until late at night. And one night I was in the village and my cousins were there playing with fireworks and such. And since I wanted to fit in, I got to my mom and asked for money so I could buy some fireworks from the grocery store. She didn't know what I was going to use the money for, so she gave me the money. I asked my cousin where did they buy the fireworks, since there were two grocery stores in the village. The one who I liked to go to since it was inside the village, and even the worker there knows me, and another outside the village on a road which I didn't like to go since it was outside the village, and they said it's the second grocery store, so sadly I had to go to the one I didn't like. At first nothing was wrong, and I got to the store and bought what I needed, along with candy, and left the store. The store was in a building, and the building was near the road outside of the village. So walking back to the village was dark, and no people were there to witness anything. As I was walking, and as soon as I left the building and began walking along the road, a guy with a bicycle started moving along me. At first I didn't think it was weird, since I was heading to the village, and he probably would be heading to the village too. But he kept staring at me with his eyes wide open. I looked at him and noticed that this main focus was staring at me, and then keeping an eye on where he was heading. I immediately felt uncomfortable, and began going faster. And as I moved faster, he did as well. Then I noticed something. He wasn't just looking at me, he was looking at something left of me on the main road. So I looked to my left to see a car with another guy staring at me, and weirdly slow moving with the car, and close to me. It was clear he was trying to cover me from anyone who might see me from the road. Before I could process anything, the guy with the bicycle right to me, extending his hand towards me, and started saying, "Come here, candy, candy." As soon as I heard him say candy, I remember what my mother used to tell me at that era. At that era in Saudi Arabia, kidnapping and missing child cases were notorious. Anyone from Saudi Arabia would know what I'm talking about. So my mother used to tell me never go with someone promising you candy. Scream and run as fast as you can. So I remembered that and began running full speed trying to escape them. But of course I couldn't, since one was riding a bicycle and the other had a whole ass car. But as I kept running, I saw the guy to my right make a signal to the other one in the car. And then as the other guy picked up what the other guy was signaling him about, I realized that they were trying to do. Basically, they wanted to do I hope you understand what I meant, like reverse V to try and bring me into a corner. So I doubled my speed, and as they did their reverse V, I escaped it. And since I was climbing the hill back to the village, they couldn't keep up and stopped. As soon as I entered the village and saw my cousins, I relaxed. And what dumbass kid me do? Reaching out for an adult. Of course, not calling the police. Nope. I even forgot about it as soon as I saw my cousins, and never told anyone until years later. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed those stories. Man, that's just terrifying. Well, with that said, if you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. And as always, stay depraved.